You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. We never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights. We're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can. We're Americans.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to KLRN Radio. It is time for your Wednesday night trifecta. That's right, the triple play of conservative talk radio. You get yours truly, the Grouch, and right after me tonight, you get Jesse's POV, and then a little later on, you get Rowdy Rick with America Off the Rails. I'm telling you, folks, we blow away the brand new fall lineup that's coming, but we really stomp summer reruns into a mud hole. I mean, you just need to be tuned in here constantly to get your head right, wrapped in the right place, and, butt off the couch watching that stupid box anyway. So anyway, glad you're here. If you like the show, tell your friends. If your friends like the show, you probably need some new friends, but bring them back anyway. Well, where we'll start tonight, we're gonna start in North Carolina, the swing state. Isn't it funny how North Carolina's emerged as a swing state in the last few years? I mean, really, it's just like the last two election cycles has really brought it to the forefront. So we have a North Carolina pregnancy center that has filed a lawsuit against the city of Raleigh that challenges its decision to prohibit the center from opening and operating next door to an abortion clinic. So get this. This pregnancy center is called A Hand of Hope, and they bought property next door to the Preferred Women's Health Center of Raleigh, which is an abortion clinic, for $309,000 last year. Now, the pro-life group went through all the proper procedures. They obtained zoning approval in May from Raleigh's Planning Commission and Citizen Advisory Council to use it for a not-for-profit pregnancy help center to share God's love and free resources with women facing the challenges of an unplanned pregnancy. Sounds pretty legit. And I happen to know for a fact that there are several operations like this, either right next door to or directly across the street from abortion clinics in other areas of the country. So this is not something that was new and crazy and unheard of at anywhere. But the Planning Commission found that the requested rezoning was consistent with the city of Raleigh's comprehensive plan and Raleigh's future land use map, and that it was not inconsistent with any of Raleigh's policies, the lawsuit noted. The Planning Commission also found that Hand of Hope's proposal was reasonable and in the public interest and compatible with the surrounding area. So what's the problem, you say? Well, here's the problem. The Raleigh City Council unanimously voted to deny Hand of Hope's zoning approval request on July 5th, with Council member Kay Crowder telling the News and Observer that the property should be rezoned later as part of a larger commercial project. This coordinated approach would produce a more efficient use of the land, she said. In contrast, this lot-by-lot piecemeal non-residential development will produce small-scale offices on small lots, she argued. Let me get this right. This city council person is telling somebody that owns the property, that petitioned and met all of the qualifications and zoning ordinances and even the community standards. Screw you, you can't open a business on the property you own because we want to rezone it later for something else. Oh, that's real nice. So anyway, we have an executive director from Hand of Hope. Her name is Tanya Baker Nelson. Said that she was shocked by the city's decision to withdraw its prior zoning approval. We own that property, she said, and we think we have a constitutional right to operate our ministry out of property that we own. Couldn't agree more. The lawsuit claims that the group's zoning approval was really revoked because the city council did not want Hand of Hope, which communicated the gospel message and a pro-life message, located next to an established abortion clinic. Why not? The lawsuit contends that by revoking the zoning approval, the city is violating Hand of Hope's First and 14th Amendment rights to free speech and equal treatment under the law. Nelson continued, from all our research, it looked like our request fit right into the UDO, Raleigh's developmental guidelines, and we were following all the rules laid out for us step by step, she said. Pregnant women in Raleigh should be allowed to choose Hand of Hope's free help and support and should not be limited to just an abortion clinic. Those who go to Preferred Women's Health will not be fully informed about their choices, she said in a statement on Thursday. Raleigh City Council and the city attorney defended their decision by citing their power and wide discretion to decide what is the best use for Hand of Hope's property, according to the pro-life group. The lawsuit, however, claims that the city's power and discretion is limited by the United States Constitution and the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act. This federal law was passed in 2000 after Congress uncovered widespread discrimination against religious organizations and land use regulations across the country. The city council is not above the law and tried to hide their political power play. Thankfully, the federal law was put in place to prevent politicians from masking their political preferences behind broad discretionary regulations, said attorney Noel Starrett of Mock and Baker LLC in Chicago, which is representing a Hand of Hope in the litigation. I hope we can all agree that our freedoms, property rights, and a woman's right to be fully informed should not be subject to the political whims and discretion of a few council members, added Starrett. Now, folks, there's a much deeper picture of what's happening in our country here. You're seeing why North Carolina is becoming a swing state. These particularly urban and professional areas, your larger cities, especially in the Research Triangle area, are swinging hard to the left. Hard. And the population in these centers are growing. And the rural areas are not growing so much. That's where all the conservative folks tend to be, in these states like this. And this is how you can go to Illinois and win the city of Chicago and lose the rest of the state, but still walk away with all of your delegate votes, because it's all based on population. So now you know why North Carolina is the highlight in a big swing state election. You will see a lot of money spent in North Carolina by Trump and Hillary this year. But this is completely outrageous on the local level. The Raleigh City Council is going to regulate how somebody can use their private property in as much as what you can and can't open on the site, even if it does meet all the zoning requirements and community standards. I don't see how they think they have a leg to stand on here. But hey, what do I know? I'm just some grouchy old dude that doesn't know jack about squat. So we're going to have to watch this story and see what happens. And if you're a praying kind of person, you might want to say a prayer for a Hand of Hope. At least think happy thoughts for them anyway, because they're going to need some help in this. The city of Raleigh has very deep pockets and is willing to go to the wall on this, I'm sure, if they've gone this far. So anyway, time to move along, and it's time to talk about something that my show has brushed on once or twice before, and we talked about it, and I got a little bit of feedback, and most of it was, "What are you talking about?" You know, they don't exactly know what's up with this, and they don't know why it should even be news or what it's really all about. But this past week, August 16th exactly, the United States National Telecommunications and Information Administration announced it was ready to relinquish control over the Internet Domain Name System infrastructure to the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, a nonprofit organization. Now, just that statement taken by itself at face value, I know what you're thinking. How can that be a bad thing? We're getting government out of this, blah, 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 blah. And normally, I'm right there with you. Okay? Now, here's what you may not know. Matter of fact, very few people know that the internet was developed in the United States as part of a military research project funded by the Advanced Research Projects Agency, ARPA. You may have heard the internet referred to as ARPANET before. This is the same ARPA. Currently known as the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA. And you've probably heard that in the press once or twice with all this coming up. So anyway, across the years, as the internet became more popular, the United States kept control over a key part of the entire ecosystem, the domain naming system, which is the infrastructure translating the easy-to-remember domains such as softpedia.com into an internet protocol address of the server where the actual website was stored. Now, this transitioning process, we'll call it, actually started about 18 years ago. In 1998, the U.S. decided to give away some of the control over the DNS system to the Internet Assigned Numbers Authority, a department of a newly formed private nonprofit organization based in Los Angeles. Now, this group assumed the part of the public face of the DNS system, but NTIA, which is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce, kept a major role in the decisions being taken at ICANN and IANA, which are the nonprofit groups, ICANN being ICANN and IANA being IANA. When it decided to give some of the original control over to IANA, U.S. officials, at the pressure of other states, said they would eventually allow ICANN full control over the Internet Domain Name System. Other countries and private companies can join ICANN based on their role in Internet infrastructure and be part of the decisions that it makes. Other nations pressured the U.S. to step down from its role of DNS watchdog. So we're doing this to show that we're a global community. We started giving ourselves away long before Hillary and Obama came along. I got news for you. After 14 years, seeing that the U.S. was dragging its feet in 2012, several nations wanted to form a UN-managed agency. Oh, I bet that got your attention. And force the U.S. to hand over control over the DNS infrastructure. 2 years later, in 2014, the U.S. officially announced it would be handing over the DNS system to ICANN, but not to the UN Commission. That same year, the U.S. also asked ICANN for a detailed proposal on how to transition stewardship from NTIA. Now, this past week, the NTIA approved that transition plan, and starting October 1st of this year, ICANN will be the sole organization with a decisional role over the global domain naming system infrastructure. Are you following this? Okay, you know what that means. This means that this group that is a liberal front is going to basically be in charge of the internet for a year or two, according to this transition plan, and then they will be slowly but surely coerced into turning this over to the United Nations Commission. And the United States will have pissed away the biggest investment and advancement that it has ever made in the technology field. Ever. It's not weapons, folks. It's ones and zeros. Information. Data. That's where your wars are going to be won and lost from now on. Everybody has weapons now. You know, Obama's given away so many of ours that we may not have enough to throw what we need to throw when it's time to throw. But seriously, folks, the internet is where it's at. And how are these other countries getting their weapon technology? Well, they're hacking it from the internet. Because even though we developed the internet here in the United States, they've become better at using it than we have. That's because 60% of all United States internet traffic is still going to porn sites. That's right, 60%. And that number's probably low. Folks, this is a big deal. And I'm not going to stand here and go techno nerd on you, even though this is my job and this is what I do for a day job. But I could stand here and do a whole hour on this and still not be able to convey everything that's going to change because of this, and not for the better. So anyway, keep this in mind and know that it's going to happen before the election. And it's going to happen close to the election so that you won't see any of the negative effects leading to the election. It won't be until after the election. So anyway, vote your conscience. Now, I'm going to move on to something a little more on the serious side. But let's paint a picture here. Let's talk about a guy who has a history of, well, let's just say, being a ladies' man, for lack of a better term. We'll get to a better term eventually, trust me, because I have some. But the ladies' man apparently also has a taste for getting a little rough with the ladies. He has a history of it. So, you know, by the time he got around to actually committing the crime of rape, he was already a well-known womanizer, philanderer. So, here we go. Let's just cue it up. Bill Clinton could very well have raped Juanita Broaddrick, according to one feminist website. That doesn't make the former president and potential first gentleman evil, they went on to say.
Point of order, first man whore.
First man whore, I would go with that, absolutely. we can talk about different nicknames for what that position might be. The first cigar roller, I don't know. But anyway, to think, this is a feminist website, okay, called Wonkette. I'd never heard of them before. I guess this is what you got to do to get yourself noticed, though. You have to defend a rapist as a feminist. What the hell's wrong with these people? Is this what happens to a woman when you let the hair on your legs grow too long? Does it create a chemical imbalance in your brain? If a man rapes a woman, he's not only evil, he is a burlap sack of male bovine excrement. It's not even, to even think that this guy could hold the title of gentleman is beyond me. Absolutely beyond me. So they published this piece in which the writer basically pardons Clinton for his actions. She wrote an article that's titled, "Let's Talk About Juanita Broderick." And this writer's name is Rebecca Schoenkopf, or Schoenkopf. I'm not sure how she pronounces it. I've seen it done both ways, so I thought I would give it both ways. She addresses Broderick's allegation that Clinton raped her in an Arkansas hotel room 40 years ago. She acknowledges the contemporaneous evidence, including Broderick's friends claiming to have seen her crying and with bruised lips not long after the alleged incident occurred. But then Schoenkopf must have hit her head on a very, very hard rock, because her following logic after confirming the rape likely happened is not only flawed, but it's outright wrong. Now, this is what she wrote. To sum up, I think Bill Clinton could very well have raped Juanita Broderick, but that doesn't make him an evil man or irredeemable. I'm Catholic. We're all forgiven if we're sorry. And Broderick says Bill Clinton personally called her up to apologize. It doesn't even necessarily make him a bad feminist, later, once he stops doing that. Are you freaking kidding me? Once he stops doing that? Wow. What was this lady's first name again? Where is it? Rebecca. Rebecca. Can I call you Rebecca? Yeah, thanks. Rebecca. Do you not know that Bill Clinton, for the last 20 years, has visited what's been deemed or anecdotally called Pedophile Island several times with his friends and fellow pedophiles? Do you not know that he flies on private jets that have underage girls that are there strictly to service these old men? Where the hell have you been, lady? Where the hell have you been? Maybe if you spend less time burning your damn bras and more time paying attention to what's happening in the world, you'll realize that your logic is not logic at all. And by the way, I'm pretty sure, judging from the tweets that I see occasionally from Juanita Broderick, that she strongly disagrees with Schoenkauf's troubling and disturbing conclusion about Bill Clinton and his redeemable qualities that make him a good first gentleman as a possibility. Anyway, just threw that out there. Let you chew on that for a couple minutes. We're at the bottom of the hour, folks. It's time to take a break. When we come back, we're going to delve into some serious, let's call it genetic issues that our government has dipped their toes into the pool on. And we'll get much more into that, and hopefully a few other things we'll have some time for too. But right now we're going to go pay the bills, and we'll be back in a couple minutes, so stay tuned.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
Damn right. Home of the free. Home of the free.
Till November.
Well, I'm sorry, what's that?
Till November, then we're screwed.
Yeah, till November, then we're screwed. Exactly. Then it will have used to been the home of the free. But anyway, we have time before then. Maybe the ground will open up and swallow them both. Anyway, I was a little remiss at the start of the show. I did not give out the new call number. I assume we're still using the new number there. Is that right, boss? Of course, that's right. So anyway, if you want to give me a call, if you agree, if you disagree, if you just want to tell me I'm full of crap and old and don't know what I'm talking about, that's fine too. I can defend my positions against anybody, anytime, any place. I don't care. That's why it makes me such a good grouch. The number is 405-648-4798. That's 405-648-4798. Now, before the break, I hinted at touching on something that usually gets a lot of people worked up. So our federal government announced plans on Thursday to lift a moratorium on funding of controversial experiments that use human stem cells to create animal embryos that are partly human. The National Institute of Health is proposing a new policy to permit scientists to get federal money to make embryos known as chimeras under certain carefully monitored conditions. Now, folks, this gets a little hinky. The NIH imposed a moratorium on funding these experiments in September because they could raise ethical concerns. One issue is that scientists might inadvertently create animals that have partly human brains, endowing them with some semblance of human consciousness or human thinking abilities. Another is that they could develop into animals with human sperm and eggs and breed, producing human embryos or fetuses inside animals or hybrid creatures, or chimeras. But scientists have argued that they could take steps to prevent those outcomes, and that the embryos provide invaluable tools for medical research. For example, scientists hope to use the embryos to create animal models of human diseases, which could lead to new ways to prevent and treat illnesses. Researchers also hope to produce sheep, pigs, and cows with human hearts, kidneys, livers, pancreases, and possibly other organs that can be used for transplants. In addition, the National Institute of Health would even consider experiments that could create animals with human sperm and human eggs, since they may be useful for studying human development and infertility. But in that case, steps would have to be taken to prevent the animals from breeding, they say. Several scientists said they are thrilled by the new policy. It's very, very welcome news that NIH will consider funding this type of research, says Pablo Ross, a developmental biologist at the University of California, Davis, trying to grow human organs in farm animals. He says we need funding to be able to answer some very important questions. But critics denounce the decision. Science fiction writers might have imagined worlds like this, like the island of Dr. Moreau, Brave New World, Frankenstein, but they've been speculations. But now they're becoming more real. And I think that you just can't say that since it's possible, then let's do it. I mean, really, if a pig is so close, or a cow is so close to us genetically that it can grow our organs inside of it, don't we even have to look at the ethical questions of consuming these animals as food? By the way, the public has 30 days to comment on this proposed new policy, and the NIH could start funding projects as early as January 2017. So folks, get to the National Institute of Health. Let them know what you think about this. Are you for it? Are you against it? And if so, why? Again, a very, very interesting topic. And our government is weighing back into it, throwing your and my tax dollars behind this, because that is where NIH gets their money from, is us. So you should have a say-so in this, as you should in any government decision. Let them hear, folks. It does matter. So anyway, I had to read this next article twice. Yeah, I had to read it twice to make sure that I was seeing it correctly. But sadly, I was not mistaken. So apparently, pro-Trump warrior and populist right-wing darling Laura Ingraham has writers that don't necessarily believe that the rights, adherence, and love of the document that keeps our freedoms in check is a good thing. Writer Edmund Kozak, in an article titled Alt-Right versus Conservative Inc., goes on to talk about how those conservatives resisting the populist uprising sweeping the Republican Party have lost their way as conservatives. Check that, okay? Check this for a second. This gets good. Conservatives resisting the populist uprising sweeping the Republican Party have lost their way as conservatives. In other words, if you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in the values that this country was founded upon, if you believe in doing things the right way with a limited government and pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps, then you've lost your way. You have absolutely lost your way. Apparently, one of the main reasons this has happened is because those of us not getting on board with the populist wave are too inundated with a healthy respect for the Constitution. Oh, well, isn't that just liberal of them? So Kozak goes on to tell us what a conservative really is. But to sum it up, he says that people such as Ted Cruz have largely forgotten because we attempt to nation build, and our Constitution was written for us, not for everyone else in the world. But things jump immediately to the hilarious when Kozak says our Constitution worship has blinded us to man's imperfectibility. And he even, one of the names I love on Twitter, and I love reading his stuff. He's really sharp. The Constitution worship, he said, of those like Ben Shapiro and Senator Ted Cruz reveals that the mainstream conservative movement has largely forgotten the principle of imperfectibility. The Constitution alone cannot guarantee some sort of political utopia. Man is fallen, he said. A city on a shining hill cannot be guaranteed by a mere piece of paper. The fact that within a decade of the document's adoption, the government was already trying to subvert it should be a clear indication of that reality. They weren't trying to subvert it, sir. They were adopting it and adapting it to fit the changing times. And it was, as a nation was being developed. You can't expect it to be a first-run perfect piece of paper. As for your shining city a shining hill with the political utopia on top of it, not guaranteed by a mere piece of paper. Of course it's not guaranteed by a mere piece of paper. What it's guaranteed by is people's adherence to that piece of paper. You meddling putz. People just really, really do not get it. The whole point of the Constitution was to make a government with checks and balances that limited government's power and prevented dictatorial rule, because the founders themselves knew that man was an imperfect being capable of corruption and being guided by self-interest. Yes, they did know that. But to Kozak, apparently our love of this Constitution means that we think that it's perfect. And we know this isn't true. We often think about how we can further improve on it. It was also something the founders wrote into the Constitution itself, so that further amendments after met requirements can be added. If anything, the Constitution is a testament on how we deal with our imperfections. And if you think about it, I mean, really, I don't ever expect to see a perfect work from imperfect people. The result of the deliberations of all collective bodies must necessarily be a compound as well of the errors and prejudices as of the good sense and wisdom of the individuals of whom they are composed. That's Alexander Hamilton, folks. Those are his words. How much more true could it be? So we're going to turn this around now. I'm not sure how Kozak explains away his thinking in the face of a movement such as the alt-right that vehemently defends and puts all its faith in one man who has demonstrated and continues to demonstrate how imperfect he is. He lambastes those who shout never Trump for relying on a document as a basis for our entire country, as he defends people who put all their faith into a man who has claimed that only he and he alone can fix everything. Yeah, that same guy that was going to build the wall is now talking about adopting more of Obama's style of immigration. Leaving it alone. Finding a soft spot for those that are here already. Yay, make America cuck again. I mean, come on, people. Time to use your heads. I'm not saying that he's the worst choice out there, but I'm certainly not saying he's the best. If you ask me, Ingram and Kozak, caught up in their populist wave, have forgotten what it is to be a conservative. Individualism is the name of the game. And boy, that's a big umbrella. When you talk about individualism, if you've followed me on Twitter for any amount of time, you can go to my timeline right now. That's at TCC_Grouchy. The pinned tweet at the top of my timeline states, "You are responsible." I can't quote it because I can't remember what I actually wrote. Let me dig it up for you here real quick. Here we go. Coming up. You are responsible for yourself, your choices, your actions, your consequences. The world owes you nothing. Folks, if that doesn't sum up what individualism is all about, I don't know what else does. The document that I do have a fondness for, I have a fondness for because it protects me from the monstrosities that occur from overreaching powers in our government, be they from an individual or a populist mob. We're not worshiping the Constitution. It's a thing. Conservatives especially have much loved stories that warn us against worshiping things. But what we are doing is standing by it as diligently as our imperfections allow, especially against men who love the idea of completely ignoring it to make campaign promises about making everything better. You can't just snap your fingers because you're the President of the United States and make everything better. If nothing else, if you've learned nothing else over the last nearly 8 years of Barack Obama being President of the United States, it's how hampered he was by the Constitution to make dictatorial changes. Oh, he did enough. Trust me, he did enough in the gray areas. And with an activist Supreme Court and federal courts that he had appointed judges to, he got away with a lot of it. Don't think for a minute that either of the two major candidates, well, don't think for a minute that any candidate, okay, we've got, 5 of them now? Technically speaking, we have 5 candidates. Okay? They can't fix jack. They keep promising you that they can. Folks, Reagan said it best, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I'm not going to quote him exactly because it doesn't fit exactly, but I will paraphrase, okay? Government doesn't fix problems. Government is the problem. It's that simple. Government needs to get the hell out of the way of the people instead of holding up impediments and stopping us from doing the things that we need to be doing. Anyway, pressing on, because we have more to do, that's why, yeah. So the FBI's year-long investigation of Hillary Clinton's private email server has recently uncovered another 15,000 emails from her time as Secretary of State that were previously not disclosed by her attorneys. Oh my. The State Department is expected to discuss when and how it will release the emails, which would have been this past Monday morning in federal court. They were told they have to speed the process up. The total confirmed by the Justice Department was disclosed by a conservative legal group after the State Department said last week that it would hand over the emails. The number to be released is nearly 50% more than the 30,000 plus that Clinton's lawyers deemed work-related and returned to the department in December of 2014. So put this into perspective, when Hillary's U-Haul pulled out from the State Department building in Foggy Bottom, she took her entire email record with her. Her personal legal team, without any input from state or any other agency, then decided which emails were official, and some 30,000 of those were returned to state in accordance with federal law, and which were personal. Those were either destroyed or became part of Clinton's personal papers. So now we find out that among the allegedly personal emails retained by Clinton, there were nearly 15,000 emails that have now been classified as official correspondence. That's an error of 50%. Or alternately, you could say that only 2/3 of her official emails were actually turned over to the United States government to begin with. Either way, it's kind of hard to credit a deviation of this magnitude to simple error. These emails are going to be released to Judicial Watch. And folks, if you don't know who Judicial Watch is, you need to get to their site online and start reading, and pronto. They are the number one litigating agency when it comes to Freedom of Information Act requests. They use FOIA like a double-edged sword to cut through the bureaucratic BS, especially as it relates to Hillary. And it's a shame that we have to have, an outside agency do this. They're doing the job of what the media used to do. Oops. Did I call out the media as a whole? Yes, I did, because they suck. They absolutely suck. So Judicial Watch is the nonprofit that brought the suit that compelled the release of Clinton's emails beginning in October. And now it looks like they might get them a little sooner. But, state will control the release of emails. So even if there are pornographic exchanges between Hillary Clinton and Sidney Blumenthal, the idea was they were going to hold that back until after Election Day. But now the federal judge has ruled that they have to be more forthcoming in a much more timely manner. So they are pushing for September releases. So look for these in the coming weeks, folks. This is not going to go away anytime real soon for Hillary. And her problems continue, and as well they should. And folks, we're about to wind up the hour here, and I want to encourage each and every one of you to keep the folks of Louisiana in your thoughts and prayers. It is absolutely devastating down there. I've seen flooding before, but not like this. I mean, you've got people that are 5 miles outside of a floodplain that took 6 feet of water in their houses. These people don't have flood insurance, folks. They never figured to need it. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of heartache. Schools are being delayed for months. Now, these people's lives have been stood up on end. So please keep them in mind. Donate where you can. I'm not one to come on air and beg you to give money to a cause. This is something that is so important because they, as a people, helped so much when Katrina hit. They opened their doors and took people in. They converted public buildings into temporary housing for Katrina victims. They've housed Mississippi River flood victims before from other areas. These people are the salt of the earth in this part of the country, folks. And it's not my part of the country. They're 2 states over from me. But God bless them because they are really having a rough time of it. Donate supplies if you can. Red Cross can use all kinds of stuff for them. Folks, my time is up. Stay tuned for Jesse's POV. then a short break on the station, and then at 11 or 10, Rick?
11 Eastern, 10 Central.
11 Eastern, 10 Central, America Off the Rails with Rowdy Rick Robinson. Folks, I'm the Grouch. I'm running late. I got to get out of here and make some room to pay the bills. So peace, be good. I'll see you next week.